Imagine stepping off a train, your heart pounding with hope, your future waiting just beyond the platform, only to be told you are unworthy. Imagine carrying every dream you've ever had in a single suitcase, only to have it crushed beneath the weight of someone else's shallow judgment. That is where Clara's story begins. She arrived in Montana on a crisp spring morning, the air smelling of pine and coal smoke. Her bonnet shaded her round face, her sturdy frame wrapped in a faded blue dress sewn by her sister. She clutched her small suitcase so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Clara was a mail-order bride. She had crossed the ocean, then the vast plains, leaving behind her family and her village. She came chasing love, or at least companionship. A man had written her, promising a home, a marriage, and a chance at happiness. Clara had dared to believe she deserved it, but when the man appeared at the station, his expression told her everything. "You?" he muttered, his eyes narrowing. He scanned her up and down, his face twisting as though she were a disappointment he had been tricked into accepting. "You didn't tell me you were this size." Clara's throat tightened. I wrote everything honestly," she whispered. The man shook his head, his lips curling. "This won't do. I can't bring you back to my farm looking like that. The neighbors would talk." And just like that, he turned away, leaving her standing on the platform with nothing but her suitcase and her shame. Whispers rose around her. Strangers pointed. A child laughed. Clara's cheeks burned red, and tears stung her eyes. She wanted to disappear into the ground. But just then, a shadow moved from the edge of the platform. He was taller than most men, shoulders broad as a barn door, his hands calloused, his beard thick and dark. His name was Samuel, a lumberjack who lived alone in the mountains. He had come to town for supplies, but now his attention was fixed on the woman standing abandoned, her heart breaking in plain sight. Samuel's boots echoed as he crossed the platform. He tipped his hat. "Ma'am," he said softly. "Do you need help?" Clara swallowed hard. I was supposed to be met here, but he changed his mind." Samuel glanced toward the man disappearing into the crowd. His jaw tightened. Then he turned back to Clara, his gaze steady and kind. "Well," he said firmly, "that's his loss." 3 words. Simple. But to Clara, they were a lifeline. Samuel didn't leave her standing there. He took her suitcase with ease and carried it to his wagon. His horses snorted, stamping their hooves as though eager to climb the winding trail back into the mountains. Clara hesitated, unsure if she should accept the stranger's kindness. "You don't owe me anything," she whispered. Samuel shook his head. "No one deserves to be left alone like that. Come on. You'll be safe at my place." The road stretched, long through endless forests. Clara sat beside him, her hands folded in her lap. She breathed in the scent of pine, wood smoke, and earth. For the first time since stepping off the train, her heart began to steady. Samuel's cabin was simple but strong, built with his own hands. Inside, the fire crackled, and the smell of bread lingered from his last baking. He set her suitcase down gently. "Rest," he said. "You've had a long journey." Clara nodded, her throat tight with gratitude. Days passed, then weeks. Clara helped in the cabin, mending clothes, cooking meals, planting herbs in the small garden. She was strong from years of farm work, and she surprised Samuel with how easily she could haul water, chop vegetables, and even stack firewood. 1. Evening. Samuel returned from the forest, his shirt damp with sweat, his muscles weary from felling trees. He found Clara sitting on the porch, sewing by lantern light. He sat beside her, watching the sun dip behind the mountains. "You know," he said slowly, "most folks look at me and only see my size, my strength. They don't care about the man underneath. I reckon you know something about that." Clara looked at him, startled. Then, for the first time, she smiled. "Yes," she whispered. "I know exactly what that feels like." Their bond grew like roots beneath the soil, slow, unseen, but unshakable. Yet love is never free from trial. When Samuel took Clara into town for supplies, the whispers started again. "Look at her," someone muttered. "Big as an ox." Another laughed. "Guess the lumberjack needed a wife who could haul logs too." Clara's heart sank. The old shame returned. She lowered her gaze, clutching the basket in her hands. But Samuel stopped in his tracks. He turned to face the men, whispering, and glared. His voice was low but sharp as an axe. "You say one more word about her, and you'll answer to me." The men fell silent. Clara looked at him, stunned. No one had ever defended her before. From then on, she saw Samuel not just as a protector, but as someone who truly valued her, for her strength, her kindness, her spirit. Months passed. One winter's evening, snow piled high against the cabin walls, Samuel and Clara sat by the fire. He handed her a small carved box, his rough hands trembling slightly. Inside lay a simple silver ring. "Clara," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I didn't send for a bride, but when I saw you left behind, I knew. You were meant to be here, meant to be with me. Will you stay? As my wife?" Tears filled Clara's eyes. For so long she had been rejected, overlooked, mocked. But here, in this cabin, with this man, she was finally cherished. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll stay." Samuel slipped the ring onto her finger. And for the first time in her life, Clara felt not just wanted, but chosen. Years later, when people told the story of Samuel the lumberjack and his wife Clara, they didn't speak of her size. They spoke of her strength, her warmth, her laughter that filled the valley like music. Together they built a life, a home, a family, a love that weathered every storm, because Samuel had seen what others could not, that Clara was not too much. She was just enough. She was perfect. And the man who walked away that day at the station? He lived a life of loneliness, haunted by the choice he made. But Samuel and Clara, they lived a love story that lasted forever. And that's the story, friends. Never judge someone by appearances. True love doesn't measure, it recognizes. If you believe in love that sees beyond the surface, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.